Hello, welcome to the advanced tutorial for NexGen. I am once again your host, HunterZ263. Today we're going to be looking at many of the advanced features in NexGen, including the color guide, bodymorphs, alternate body textures, and many other features you will learn about today. Before we jump into SFM, I'd like to show you the color guide first. To find the color guide, first we have to navigate to our RedDaz folder. To do this, let's go ahead and go into Steam Apps, Common, scroll down until you see Source Filmmaker, Game, scroll down until you see User Mod, then we're going to go into Materials, then we're going to go into Models right here. Finally, we're going to find RedDaz towards the bottom, and lastly, we have arrived at RedDaz. Right here, you'll see a file named Red Color Guide. Let's go ahead and open this up. The RedDaz color guide contains all of the color information for all characters inside of NexGen. It organizes all the ponies in alphabetical order, and it even groups some ponies in the groups, such as the main sits, the CMC, flower trio, and more. The RedDaz color guide also features all color information used in the creation of textures for NexGen. If you click on a specific pony, it'll take you to a separate page. Here you will find all of the color information organized by the sample, the head's value, the RGB value, along with any textures that use that specific color. If you look towards the bottom right here, you'll see a main stripe 1 dark purple and main stripe 2 pink. If you look to the right, you'll also see that our alternate torsos use these colors right here. So it's a quick and easy way to look at our alternate textures without having to load them up in SFM and apply the scripts that use those textures. An example of how we can use this color guide, if you want to have your own custom horsecock texture and have it match the body at the same time, all you have to do is go to the color guide, pick a pony you want, find out which color was used for the torso, apply that color to the texture, and it'll match in SFM. If you ever need to get back to the selection screen, all you have to do is go back to this pony select and it'll take you to the main hub. Now that we've hopped on to SFM, there are a few things I'd like to show you first about optimizing Source Filmmaker to make it run smoother on your computer. The first trick to do is actually go into the clip editor. As you can see, we have one shot that is 60 seconds long. SFM for some reason likes to lag whenever it has a long clip, so all we need to do is shorten this down to somewhere around 5 seconds. And that will greatly improve our frames per second inside Source Filmmaker. The next thing I like to show you is turning off ambient occlusion. Not only does ambient occlusion make our frame rate drop in Source Filmmaker when we get close to the model, it also can sometimes get in the way whenever we're posing. To turn off ambient occlusion, all we have to do is right click in our viewport, go to Render Settings, and you'll see a checkbox named ambient occlusion. All we have to do is untick that, hit OK, and we have disabled ambient occlusion. One last thing we can do to optimize SFM is disable the camera frustum. All we have to do to disable the camera frustum is right click on the viewport, go to display, and uncheck this box named show camera frustum. And you'll see the camera frustum disappear now. NexGen also features body groups, which basically allows you to turn on or off certain parts of the body. So for instance, if you wanted to hide the mane, all you have to do is right click on the head, go down to body groups, and you'll see an option here named mane, and then none. All you have to do is click that, and you suddenly don't have a mane. Same thing can be done with the tail just by going to set body groups, tail, and then none. And lastly, if you don't like eyebrows on your model, you can also disable them by going to none as well. We also give you a couple options for the wings. By default, they're set to the spread position, but if you want to close them, all you have to do is right click on your head, go to set body groups, and they're divided into two categories, left wing and right wing. On each category, all we have to do is select the closed option right here, and it'll close the wing. If you want to hide your wings entirely, the same principle applies. All you have to do is right click on your model, go to set body groups, wings, and select none instead. By having the wings divided into two categories, you can also have one wing spread open and the other closed, or if you just want to hide one wing entirely, you're also allowed to do that. It is all up to you on how you want to use these body groups. NexGen also features 3 different types of reflections for the eyes. To access your reflections, all you have to do is right click on your model, go to Set Body Groups, Eyes, and you will see the list right here. The first one is none, which is what it sounds like. It doesn't feature any reflection at all. The second reflection you'll see on the list is called reflection_ENV map, and this reflection is the best quality of the lot. But if we click it right here, you'll notice nothing happens to our eyes. The reason this happened is because this reflection only works on certain maps, with Team Fortress 2 maps offering the best reflections. Maps such as Stage and anything custom made will not work with this reflection at all. However, if you want to use reflections in every single map, there's an easy way to do this. All you have to do is right click on our model, go to Set Body Groups, Eyes, and we'll click on this third option right here called Reflection Eye Refract. Now our eyes have reflections, but they're not really true reflections. The reason this works is because Eye Refract is actually putting its own reflection map on the eyes itself. So while it won't reflect the world around it, it'll give a nice illusion that it actually is. I've loaded up a Team Fortress 2 map to demonstrate the differences between the reflection maps. Right now I currently have my reflection map set to none, and as you can see there is no reflections whatsoever in the eyes. When I switch over to ENV map, you'll notice that there is a subtle difference between the two. Now it's actually reflecting the map and giving it a lot more realistic look on the eyes. The final one I'm going to show you is actually Eye Refract. Now as I mentioned earlier, Eye Refract works on every single map, but it does come at the cost of losing realism. So as you can see, it does reflect, however you'll notice kind of gray areas inside the eyes which don't actually belong on this map. That's why ENV map is actually the most realistic one, is because it's actually reflecting what the map actually looks like. Another great feature about these eye reflection maps is that they all work with Uberlight. So if you want to have your eyes glow, you are more than welcome to do that, as they all are compatible with the Uberlight hack. I set up a basic Uberlight just to demonstrate that they all work with it. As you can see, I switched back to the one that has no reflections at all. But if we go over to Body Groups and select ENV Map, you'll see that the Uberlight is still enabled. Normally, if you add a reflection map, Uberlight does not work at all. But with NexGen, we've actually figured out a way to keep reflections on and keep Uberlights working as well. And as you can see, it'll even work with the Eye Refract as well. So now you can have reflections and you can have your glowing eyes. A perfect combination if you ask me. The final section on our body groups is the horns. You'll notice that NexGen is actually using the brand new unicorn horn by default, but if you want to switch over to the old horn, it's easy. All you have to do is right click on your model, go to Set Body Groups, Horn, and you notice 3 variations of the horn. We have the new horn, we have a colorable version of the new horn, and finally we have the old horn. And lastly, if you don't want a horn on your model at all, you can turn that off. But right now, I want to switch over to the old horn. As you can see, it's still there. It's in the proper place, and it matches the texture just fine. Now, what was this other horn right here called Colorable? Well, if you select it, it actually pops up with the brand new horn, but it's all white. The reason it's all white we'll get to later on in this tutorial. There's also variations of the body texture as well. If you watch the basic tutorial, you know we've loaded in default 1, which is the default body texture. But there are a few variations as well. To access these, all you have to do is right click on your NexGen female, go to Rig, go to Orida, we're going to load in overrides, then we're going to navigate to RedDaz, NexGen, female, and we're going to go to T because we're using Twilight Sparkle, and we're at the default options folder. So like I mentioned, we use body option 1 default, but there's also 2 others. There's dark purple and there's pink. These 2 right here essentially just change the nipple color and the genitals texture on the model. So if you don't like the way the nipples look on this one, all you have to do is select the different options such as dark purple, and you'll see it updates just like that. Let's say you want to try out the pink as well. Well, all you have to do is right click, go to Rig, go to Orida RedDaz, load overrides, and we'll click on the pink option. And as you can see, it actually loads it in as pink. Now, what about the cutie mark? I know some people don't like to have it on their models, so we do give you the option to remove it as well. However, in order to do this, you'll have to download a separate texture pack in order to access these textures. But in order to remove it, all you have to do is right click on your female model, go to Rig, Orida RedDaz, Load Overrides, and as you can see, we offer the same body texture options, but there's a no CM version, which means no cutie mark. So we're going to click on the default one, and as you can see, it has removed the cutie marks from both sides. And like I said, it also works with the other options as well, such as dark purple and pink. And like I mentioned earlier, these alternate textures also change the interior genitals colors. So to demonstrate, I'm going to load in the rig, going to go to Orida, Load Overrides, and I'm going to load the dark purple one because I like how that looks. And as you can see, it also changes the interior genital color as well. The only thing these alternate textures don't change is the nail color. That's right, you heard me right. NexGen offers colorable nails as well. Whenever I first heard about this feature, I was so excited about it. Let me show you an easy way to copy the color of the interior genitals onto the nails. All you have to do is right click on our female model, go to Show an Element Viewer, then Model. And then what we're going to do from here is go to Materials. And we're going to look for genitals interior, which is located right here. As you can see, there's a base texture, a color attribute, a Phong boost, and a Phong exponent attribute as well. All you have to do is to translate the color from this interior genital is right click, go to copy, and then we're going to look for our nails, which are divided into fingernails and toenails. If we click on the plus icon, you'll notice that it already has a colorable attribute added to it. So all we have to do is right click on this box, go to paste, and this is for the fingernails, and you'll notice that their fingernails change in color. Same thing with the toenails as well. All we have to do is go down here, click on the plus icon for toenails, right click on the box, go to paste, and it changes the color automatically. Another option we present to you in NexGen is the feature to color lips on the pony head, along with horn ridges for the old horn. In order to do this, first we have to load in the Orida script, but if we right click on our head and go to Rig, you'll notice it's locked out. The reason this is because SFM doesn't want us loading rigs onto models that have transform locks. Well, how are we going to get all these lock icons turned off? We could go in and start clicking on these to disable them, but there's actually an easier way to do this. All you have to do is right click on your model, scroll down until you see Unlock Transforms, and it'll unlock the model for us automatically. Now we can right click on our model, go to Rig, and we're going to go to Orida RedDaz again, Load Overrides, and what we can see here is we have two options. We have Pony Head, which is what we loaded in the basic tutorial, and we have Pony Head Color, which is what we're going to load right now. And as you can see, now Twilight Sparkle has black lips. Now how are we going to color these? Well, if we go and right click on the model, go to Show an Element Viewer, then Model, and I'm actually just going to go back to the animation set editor, then go back to the element viewer so we can see these lips better. We're going to go down to Materials, going to go to Body. And as you can see, it's added a whole bunch of attributes again, but this time we have one called Color. And if we click on this black box and increase the levels right here, you'll see we now have colorable lips. So I'm going to put these to a pinkish color right here. Not only does the color script make the lips colorable, it also makes the old horn ridges colorable. So I'm going to right click on my head, I'm going to go to Body Groups, go to Horn, I'm going to select the old horn right here. As you can see, the horn ridges are now black. So I'm going to go back into the element viewer, and this time to change the horn, we're going to go down to Horn, and then you can see right here, there's another color attribute. We're going to click on that, we're going to increase the value, and we're just going to set it to a pinkish color as well. There you go, we just colored the horn just like that. Now let's say for instance you want to color the lips, but you want to keep the old horn's ridges color the same. Well, what you could do is go to the color guide, go to Twilight Sparkle, and select the outline color, but there's an easy way to do this. All you have to do is go to color number 2, delete this attribute, and then all you have to do is go to base texture right here, and remove this last part of the texture called underscore color. And as you can see, it switches the color back to the old color, but it keeps the lips colorable as well. And this trick also works vice versa as well. So let's say you wanted to have the horn ridges colorable, but you want to have the lips stay the same. All you have to do is go to body, remove the color attribute, remove this part of base texture, and you'll have your lips back to the default color. We also give the option to color the new horn that comes with NexGen. In order to access it, all you have to do is right click on our model, go to set body groups, horn, and we're going to select horn new female color. As you can see, our horn is now all black. That's because the script just makes it black by default. So we're going to go to element viewer again at the top right here. I'm going to actually click out of this model so we get rid of all those annoying diamonds. Instead of going to horn, which affects the old unicorn horn, we're going to go to new horn color and new horn outline color. Click on these two plus icons and you'll see a color attribute has been added to both. The outline is actually kind of the interior of the horn, so if you want to have that a custom color, you can now have that be a custom color. As for a new horn color, this one actually affects the outer edge of the horn, so as you can see, we can now make it any color we could possibly want it to be. There's also one last neat little body group I'd like to show you, and that's actually the magic line. So we're going to go back into the animation set editor. We're going to right click on Twilight Sparkle, go to body groups, and you'll see a new body group called Horn Magic Line. We're going to click on that one. As you can see, it actually makes the outline of the horn kind of a pinkish, glowish color. This is great for animations if you want to feature magic, as it gives it more depth and more realism. So we're going to go into the element viewer, and then we're going to go down to Magic Line. Now the default color on the magic line is actually set to what we believe is the actual proper magic color from the show. But if you want to alter it, all you have to do is click on this box right here, and then just drag it whatever color you want it to be. So if you want it to be green, blue, black, whatever you want it to be, we give you that option. It's all up to you. Now let's say for instance you're playing around with the colors, but you want to go back to the default colors, but you want to keep the color attributes. Well, with the color guide, it's easy to get back to those original values. All we have to do is open up our color guide, drag it to the right of the screen, and it'll actually split the window for us. Then we're going to click on SFM right here, and it's going to attach it to the left side. Now, I'm going to change the magic line back to its default color. So I'm going to click on this box, and you notice this eyedropper tool right here. We're going to click on that and hold it, and then drag it until we have it over this box right here. Then we're going to let go. And as you can see, it actually changed the color back to the original magic color. Same thing can be done with the horn colors. We're just going to drag this back onto the fill color. And we're going to make the outline color right here. On top of that, let's say for instance you don't like the way the magic line looks, but you want to have something close to it. You can also just drag this eyedropper tool and just drag it to one of these other alternate colors, such as the pink, the outline color, the fill, anything you want. This one, I'm just going to keep it on the outline color right here. That actually looks pretty cool right there. And then on top of that, let's say for instance you wanted to have the null colors the same color as the magic line. Once again, it's real simple. All you have to do is right click on it, copy. Then we're going to go back onto the body right here. Going to go to show on element viewer, model. I'm going to move my camera so we're closer to the nails. Materials, and we're going to start with the fingernails. Fingernails right here. Right click and paste just like that. Same thing with the toenails. We're going to go down here. Going to go to toenails, right click, paste, and we're done just like that. We've now fixed our model and set them back to the default colors and gave you the option to actually color different parts of the body if you want to. Now let's say you've had fun with all your color textures, but you actually want to go back to the default look. Well, it's easy. All you have to do is right click on your model. We're going to go to rig, Orida RedDaz, load overrides, and we're going to click on pony head right here to switch it back to the default. As you can see, our model is now completely purple, which is not what it's supposed to be. The reason this happened is whenever we load in the color script, it actually puts in a new attribute onto the materials. However, with the pony head, it actually doesn't remove any old scripts, so you'll have to manually delete those. But it's simple. All you have to do is right click on our model, go to show an element viewer model. We're going to go down to materials, body, And in order to fit the head, all I have to do is right click on this color attribute and press delete. And as you can see, our pony is back to normal. Now we're moving on to my favorite part of NexGen, which happens to be Bodymorphs. Bodymorphs are essentially sliders that allow you to customize your body into any way, shape, or form you want. In order to access them, all we have to do is click on this plus icon next to our female, and then we're going to click on this Bodymorphs. And as you can see, we actually have 4 different sets: genital flexes, correctional flexes, partial bodymorphs, and full bodymorphs. Now, if we click on full bodymorphs, you'll see we have a pretty decent list. Got a few. Got voluptuous, we got thin, got parafigure. Got quite a few options to choose from right now. I myself like voluptuous, so I'm going to crank this up just a little bit. Now, that's a pretty decent selection right there. But the magic happens with partial bodymorphs. All you have to do is click on this, and you'll see a whole new world. As you can see, we offer quite a bit with this NexGen model. So, if you want to have bigger breasts, you can do it. If you want to have gigantic breasts, you can do it. If you want to have nipples, you got it. If you want to have a bigger neck, you got it. If you want to have long nails, you got it. Anything you can imagine that can be done to this body can happen with these flexes. So go ahead and play with all these sliders for a little bit. Try to make a body that you like, that you know you want to keep for sure, and I'll teach you how to save it and pull it up for next time for future reference. Once you have a body that you like, how are you going to save this for future reference? Well, it's actually really simple. All we have to do is go to Bodymorph Flexes up here, right click on it, and then we're going to go to Export Animation. Now, I myself made a Bodymorphs folder inside the user mod folder, which you can see right here on the Bodymorphs. This is where I keep all my Bodymorphs, and I highly recommend you actually make your own folder to keep these for safekeeping, because you don't want these to wind up missing, because they can be hard to recreate sometimes. So for this one right here, I'm going to name it NexGen Practice. And then I'm going to click Save up here. Now that we have our Bodymorph saved, how are we going to access it for next time? Well, it's easy. We're going to spawn in a new model, a new female model. So we're going to type in NexGen. Going to go to the bottom of the list and select female right here. I'm actually going to move this to the side right here so we can see a side-by-side comparison. Now, as you can see, this body is completely stock. No big breasts, no noticeable tummy, nothing at all. Completely vanilla. So all we have to do is click on this plus icon right here. Right click on Bodymorph Flexes. And then finally go to Import Animation right here. Now from here, it's selected our Bodymorphs folder. So we're going to go down until we see NexGen Practice, which is right here. Going to show this list showing the changes it's making, but we're just going to click OK. And there we go. We've saved our Bodymorph preset for next time, and now we're able to load it in again on any model we want. It's as easy as that. One important note I will make, however, is if you are trying to save a Bodymorphs preset or trying to import it, you cannot have a rig on your model. If you have a rig on your model, it will not allow you to save anything. So to demonstrate, I'm going to add the rig onto here. Let's say, for instance, I want to actually export this. Like I make a few changes here and there, and I want to export this. Well, I'm trying to right click on this, but export animation is actually grayed out. To fix this, all you have to do is actually detach your rig. So we're going to go to Rig, Detach Rig, biped right there, and give SFM a few seconds to load because it doesn't like taking off rigs. Now that that rig is unloaded, you'll notice that there's actually still a few control groups left over here. To fix this, all you have to do is actually right click on your model. We're going to go to Utilities, and we're going to go to Rebuild Control Groups. And now they're all back to normal. So once again, we're going to right click on Bodymorph Flexes right here. And now we can export the animation and save it all over again for future reference. A word of caution, if you're going to use any full body morphs, such as voluptuous, thin, or pear, you'll actually have to apply this setting onto the head itself. Why is that? Well, if we zoom onto our model right here, you'll actually see there is a tiny crack between the head and the body right here. This is easy to fix though, so for instance, let me demonstrate. Whenever we turn off this setting, you'll notice that the head is connected just fine. But when we start to crank it up, it starts to split. How are we going to copy this value onto the head? Well, it's easy. All I have to do is double click on this right here, select these numbers, right click, copy. Then we're going to go to the head right here. And as you can see, we actually have a Bodymorph flexes preset built onto the heads as well. So we're going to click on full Bodymorphs. And here we go. Here's Voluptuous right here. We're going to double click on this right here. Select the 0, right click, paste, then hit enter. And as you can see, it fixes the issue just like that. Make sure every single time you use any full Bodymorph, you apply it to the neck as well. Otherwise, you're going to have a very noticeable seam, and it's going to be a very, very rough time trying to get that out in post. So now that you got your character posed, you got your light set up, and you have a seam belt set, you're about ready to export. Or are you? Well, technically yes, you can go ahead and export right away, but NexGen offers another cool feature which is also one of my favorites, called tessellation. What is tessellation, I hear you asking? Well, basically what tessellation does is it actually smooths out the curves on your model and makes it very, very high poly. Now, how does that translate to the real world? Well, as you can see here, if we go to the word camera and we zoom in, you'll notice that around the breast right here, that is actually kind of almost like straight lines, like it's not smooth. It's actually jagged. What tessellation does is it increases the poly count along these lines, so it's actually one smooth curve. And it does that to the whole body. Now, a warning to everyone, if you want to use the Tessel models, your computer will have to have either an NVIDIA graphics card or AMD graphics card. Anything that is Intel integrated or has no graphics card at all will crash Source Filmmaker right away. Even if you just try to load it in the model viewer, it'll just crash instantly. Let's go ahead and spawn in our Tessel model. To do that, let's just click on this plus icon right here. Go to create animation set for new model. And we're going to scroll all the way down until we see NexGen Tessel Female. So as you can see, all the Tessel models are at the bottom of the list for NexGen. So like I mentioned, if you have a computer that has no graphics card or is using Intel integrated graphics, avoid this section entirely, because if you just click on this, it'll crash SFM right away. So let's go ahead and spawn in our model. And as you can see, once I start to fly over to it, you'll notice it has become quite a bit more laggy. Like I mentioned earlier, Tessel models increase the poly count substantially on your SFM, so it's going to lag quite a bit. That is why tessellation should be the very last thing you do after you've done the seam build, after you've done lighting, after you've done posing. Should be the very last thing you do, otherwise it'll be a pain to fix anything. If you do happen to spot an error inside your session, all you have to do is click this plus icon right here. It'll hide the Tessel model, and once again you'll notice we're back to a smooth frame rate. But as soon as we click it back in, we're back to chugging frame rates again. So let's go ahead and add overrides to the Tessel model. To do this, right click on your model, go to add override materials, then we're going to go down to rig, going to go to Orida, load overrides, RedDaz, we're going to go to NexGen, female, T since we're using Twilight Sparkle, and we chose the dark purple option, so we're going to go with this option right here. So how are we going to translate the Tessel model onto our original model like so? I mean, we have it posed and everything, and the Tessel model lags SFM, so we can't pose it obviously. Well, it's actually really simple. First thing we need to do is actually spawn in the rig onto the Tessel model. So we're going to right click on the model, we're going to go to rig, and once again we're going to apply rig NexGen just like we did to our original one in the basic tutorial. From here, we're actually going to click on VN NexGen Female, the original one, and we're actually going to go into the motion editor. From here, we're going to right click on this green area right here, and we're going to say copy samples. From here, we're going to click onto the NexGen model, we're going to right click again, and we're going to say paste samples. And now it's moved the Tessel model onto the exact same position as the original one. If I hide the model right here, you'll notice that the entire model has been translated on a 1:1 ratio. Perfectly on the dot. Now remember when I said that the Tessel model actually smooths out the breast? Well, let me show you what I mean. So if we go to our war camera right here, and we have it zoomed in on the breast, you'll notice that it's a lot more curvy than it used to be. Still a little bit of jaggedness, but it's certainly a lot more smoother compared to the original. Here's the original right here. and here's the Tessel. As you can see, a lot more smooth. Now, what if this isn't smooth enough for you? What if you want it to be perfectly round, 100%? Well, it's actually very simple to do. What we need to do is actually increase the tessellation level. Tessellation on SFM can actually support levels from 1 to 16. Currently, SFM defaults to level 2. So how do we increase it? Well, it's simple. All we have to do is go into the console right here. We're going to type in mat_tessel, and you're going to look for a command called mat tessellation level 2. We're going to remove this 2 right here, and let's put it up to 16, the highest value. We're going to hit submit. Going to go back into our viewport, switch back over to our work camera, give it a little shake, and you notice that even though it's very slight, it has been rounded out quite a bit more. Now that we got tessellation up to a level we like, we can render out our image, right? Well, yes, but the thing about tessellated models, even though it increases poly count substantially and generally increases the model in every sense of the word, it does have 2 big problems. The first one is render times. You'll notice right away as soon as you export a Tessel model, it takes ages to export, especially if you have a busy scene and multiple characters. So be prepared for a very long wait time if you're going to use tessellated models. The other drawback to using Tessel is that for some reason SFM and tessellation loves to leave these little seam marks right here on the model. It also happens on the legs. So if you're going to use a Tessel model, be sure you're prepared to do some post-editing to your picture. Otherwise, if you leave those seams in, it's not going to look very good. Thankfully, the method to removing those seams is extremely simple, and I'll teach you that. So let's go ahead and make a render out of this. I've gone ahead and rendered out my image twice, one using a tessellated model and one using a regular model. The top layer right here is the tessellated model, which is what you see here right now. The other one is the not tessellated model, and right away the differences are staggering. So the breasts are no longer smooth, the shadows are harsher, it looks less detailed, it looks a lot more jagged. This is why we recommend you use tessellated models at all times if you can. If you can't use tessellated model, that's fine. This model will do just fine. It still looks awesome, it's extremely detailed, and it's fun to work with. But if you can afford to use the tessellated model, the differences speak for themselves. I mean, it's a lot smoother, the shadows are softer, it's a lot more detailed, and it's just generally a better looking model. Now what about the seams in the arms? Well, we have one right here, and we also have one on the other side right here, which is very subtle, but still noticeable if you zoom in. How are we going to fix that? Well, it's actually quite simple. First, I'm going to zoom in on the model right here, where the problem is. Then I'm going to go over to the smudge tool right here, which can be located under blur tool. I'm going to select smudge right there. And I'm going to increase the size of the brush just a little bit. What we're going to do from here now is just go gently back and forth along the area right here until it's smoothed out. So very gentle. So I'm just going to click and just smoothly rub away the problem area. I'm going to decrease the brush size a little for this area. Just gently go along there, along here. Just very small strokes. Doesn't take a lot to get rid of the area. Just very small. Make sure it doesn't leave any noticeable marks, and you're good. So now we're going to zoom back out again. And as you can see, now that we zoomed out, the seam is no longer there. That's why if you can afford it, we highly recommend using the tessellated model, as it's just going to make your image pop out a lot more. Let's just go ahead and fix this other area right here. As you can see, if we zoom in, it's very subtle, but it's still there. So let's go ahead and go back to our smudge tool. And just smudge out that area very gently. And now it's gone. Now, a word of caution. If you're going to use the smudge tool, make sure you are very graceful with it and very gentle with it. Because if you use too large of a brush and you start brushing over the area, you're going to lose detail really fast in other parts of the image. So if I use the brush this size and started brushing it over like so, you'll start to notice, if I zoom in, that this area is starting to lose detail, this area is starting to lose detail, and it looks a lot worse. So make sure your brush size isn't too big and it isn't too small. Get it just right, take your time, be graceful, and once you get it right, you're going to have a very high quality render. There's one final part to this tutorial I want to show you guys, and that is Orida script creation. As we've seen, Orida scripts save a lot of time from having to manually type in attributes, debugging them, and trying to find the right settings. NexGen offers some templates to Orida scripts, and they save a lot of time, and they're very easy to manipulate. To find them, go to our user mod folder, and we're going to look for scripts right here. Then we're going to go into SFM, Anim Set, Tools, Orida Files, RedDaz, and you'll notice a folder right here named Templates. We're going to double click on that one. Then we're going to go to either New OC Pony or New Pony. In this case, I'm just going to use New Pony. And you'll see all the options here. We have the default body option, one for horse cocks, one for the head and colorable head, and finally the pony pussy. For this demonstration, I'm just going to need two of these textures, which is going to be the body default and the pony head. I'm going to right click on those, go to copy. And I'm actually going to go back to RedDaz. And I actually have a folder in here named OCs. I'm actually going to create scripts for the OC named Atari. So I'm going to double click that. I'm going to make a new folder named Atari. Go in there and paste the scripts right in here. Now I highly recommend you have the program Notepad++ for this next part because it makes the process a whole lot simpler. So we're going to go with the body first. I'm going to right click on this one. And we're going to go to Edit with Notepad++. From here you may see a bunch of text that doesn't make any sense, but it's very simple to understand. Pretty much what we're only looking for is this value attribute, and it's going to be models, RedDaz, neck, low. And then we're going to see another one that says torso low. And then another one that says torso low. And then one that says arms, and one that says legs. All we need to do in this is just replace a low with whatever our character's name is. In this case, for me, it is Atari. Now, how are we going to replace all the lows with Atari? Well, we could go in here and just start replacing all of them with Atari manually, but there's actually an easier way to do this. Go up to Search, go to Find, and you're going to want to find a tab called Replace. From here, what this does is it's going to find a word for you, and it's going to replace it with whatever word you want. So in our case, we wanted to find a low, and we wanted to replace with Atari. Now, before you do anything, make sure you have Match Whole Word Only turned off. Because if you have it turned on and start to replace it, it's just going to keep you giving an error saying 0 things were replaced. But if you turn it off, and you click Replace All, it replaces them all like that. And just like that, you've created your own Orida script. So all you have to do is close out of this, save it, and then we're going to do the same thing to the pony head. So we're going to right click on it, going to edit with Notepad++, and once again we're going to go to Search, Find, Replace, and we're going to replace a low with Atari, replace all, and done. Once again we're just going to click Save, and that's it. You just created your own Orida script just like that. And just to prove to you all that it works perfectly fine, we're going to actually apply it to the same session we were on earlier. So I'm going to right click on my body, going to go to Rig, Orida, Load Overrides, RedDaz, we're going to go to OC since it's an OC, Atari, and we're going to click on the body option. And there you go. It just created the overrides, and it applied the textures to every part, to the arms, torso, the nails, all the way down to the legs right here. Everything was applied at once, just like that. And the head is the same story. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spawn in Atari's head. So I'm just going to search for Atari. Here she is right here. And from there, I'm actually going to add override materials to her. And then I'm going to go to Rig. Going to go to Orida RedDaz, Load Overrides. And then we're going to click on Pony Head. And as you can see, it's been applied to hers as well. If I go back, forth, it's been applied easily. Now, question, how are we actually going to put the head onto the new body? Well, it's actually going to be the same process like we did with the Tessel model. All we have to do is we're just going to lock it down onto the body. So we're just going to drag the body onto Atari right here. We're going to click on Twilight Sparkle's head, right click, copy samples. Then all we have to do is just paste them onto Atari. And now they're in the exact same pose. So I'm just going to turn on Twilight. And that's it. We just character swapped inside of NexGen. Just like that, in the blink of an eye. And with that, we've reached the end of this tutorial, everyone. We've learned how to create our own Orida scripts, how to make bodymorphs, tessellation, colorable heads, alternate body textures. We've learned a lot in this tutorial. So I hope you all have enjoyed watching. I look forward to seeing all your creations out there. And please, just have fun with NexGen. It's one of the best bodies you can get out there. It's free, and it's awesome to use. So, hope everyone enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to offer. Thanks again, everyone.